Okay, so what we're going to do today is help you out with your homework for 7M1 Lesson 1. And let's see, let's just make that really clear. Lesson 1, 7M1 homework. And what we're going to do is we're going to take you to the homework real quick and show it to you, and then I'm going to take you over to a sketch pad and I'm going to show you how exactly to do some problems on the homework and give you a head start. So let's quickly go over and take a quick look. What I want you to do is I want you to have up this homework, and remember, we're doing problems 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's our homework. So I want you to get out this problem set and take a look. We're going to do this problem set on separate paper. So let's move over to, let's just now go straight over to the paper, and I'm going to assume that you're also able to see the homework. So when I talk about problem 1, I want you to see that it says 420 miles in 7 hours. So remember, we're talking about, we have 3 key terms that we learned today in math. We learned about ratios, which are comparisons of 2 numbers. We learned about rates, which include a number that can be represented as a fraction or as a number along with the units. And then we talked about unit rates, which is simply the number, and the purpose of unit rates is for just comparing two rates or two ratios. Okay, so let's look at an example here, and let's look at the idea of what is the ratio, what is the rate, and what is the unit rate. Okay, so let's remember that we're going to do all of our homework on separate paper. We're going to put a header up here. We're going to put our name. I'm going to put Mr. Lipscomb. We put the date. We put the class. And then we're going to title our work 7M1 Lesson 1, number 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I want to see this on every paper. It's a little bit, perhaps a little bit messy up here, but that's just because I'm working with a stylus. We can try and fix it a little bit. Okay, so let's look at problem 1. Problem 1 simply wants us to find the rate and the unit rate. So when we talk about 420, and remember we have to copy the problem. So 420 miles in 7 hours. To write that is a rate, we put, a rate is a number along with a unit. So let's be clear here. So this, whoops, is our number, and this is our units. And notice also, because we have a fraction over here, 420 over 7, this is actually accurate in that this is a rate, but this is not the simplified rate, which would be, if we want to simplify this down, you'd say, well, 7 goes into 420 60 times. So the best answer here is actually 60 miles per hour, and we have the number and the units. Okay, now also, because this is, I've done the division on this number, this is also, remember, can be thought of as, or is accurately described as, also the unit rate. The unit rate is simply the number part of a rate. The whole thing is the rate. This whole thing is the rate. and this number part is the unit rate. So that's A. Now you should be able to answer B, C, and D on your own. I just wanted to give you this hint. Now let's look at number 3 and let's look at what that's asking us. 3, we talk about, well, Mr. Rowley, and remember, we can just take shorthand when we copy the problem. We have to copy the problem, the information from the problem. That's one of my requirements, but we can do it in shorthand. So we can say Mr. Rowley has 16 homework tickets and he has 14 exit tickets. And then Mrs. R has 64 homeworks and 60 exit tickets. So that's copying the problem, and I expect that you do that. Now, let's write the ratio for Mr. R. The ratio for Mr. R, and let's write his in maybe green, is going to be 16 over 14. That's the way we can write a ratio. We can also write it like this. Remember, we can write our ratios as using this colon mechanism, but we don't really like that. We like to write it usually as a fraction because it's just more familiar to us. Let's write Mrs. R's in orange, and then we'll write hers as 64 to 60. Now these are ratios. We can write them as rates if we include our units. So we can write this one, and I'll just write Mrs. R's here as homework to exit tickets. Homework to exit ticket ratio. So that's her this would be her units, and this would be our rate, our number part of our rate. Now remember, the way that we need to compare rates is we just simplify or divide this unit rate. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to simplify this down. I notice that both of these can be divided by 4. And if we divide 64 by 4, we get the number 16. And if we divide 60 by 4, we get 15. And so these are equivalent fractions because all I've done is I just divided the top and bottom by 4. Pardon me if that's a little hard to read, but I've divided it both by 4 to get to the 16/15. And now to find the unit rate, I need to turn this into a single decimal number. So I'm going to divide 15. Remember, box top. So what goes inside the box is what's on top. So we put the 16 inside the box. 15 goes into 16 one time. 1 times 15 is 15. 10. 15 goes into 10 0 times. Oops. 0 times 15. And if we continue down and we do our division here, which I won't do for write the whole thing out, but we'll just get 1.066666 repeating. And this is our unit rate. And I'll leave it to you as an exercise to find the unit rate, this unit rate. And once you find the unit rate for 16 over 14, you can compare that number to 1.066666 repeating forever, and then you can answer the question of whether the ratios are indeed equivalent. Let me give you a few hints for number 4, 5, and 6. So let's just look at 4. Talks about Jonathan's parents said that if he does 5 hours of homework, 5 hours of homework, he can have 3 hours of video games. And if Lucas can have 30 minutes of video games, 30 minutes of video games for every 1 hour of homework. So let's look at this. So that's Lucas, and this is Jonathan. So we can write this as a ratio. And we can write this as a ratio. Whoops. But notice, before we write this as a ratio, we need to convert 30 minutes into hours. So how many hours is 30 minutes? Well, the way you convert minutes into hours is you divide by 60. You can also think about it. We know 30 minutes is half an hour. So that's the real answer here. But you could also say, we know that you have to divide by 60. So 30 minutes divided by 60. And that can be simplified to 3/6, which is equal to a half. So then we can write our ratio of 1 hour to a half hour. And we can simplify, and we can go about answering question number 4. So that's my hint to you on number 4. On number 5, you need to figure out, let's copy the problem, and you need to count the number of girls and boys. And then you need to figure out, I think you can handle the rest of the question there, finding the ratio of girls to boys. And then number 6 is simple. Is simply like the one that we worked on a problem like this in class today, but you need to find the the key here is to find the unit rate for the 6-pack. And after you find the unit rate, then you can say, well, is that unit rate more or less than $2? I think you might have a sense of the right answer here, but I need to see you show your work and then commit to an answer by boxing it. Okay, so that's your homework help. That's your homework help for today. I hope this was useful for you. Let me know what I want to see you find out, or let me know. I want you to go online in Schoology and give me a thumbs up, I like it, or give me a comment that tells you what could be better, how I could better help you on the homework, or give me a comment that says, no, Mr. Lipscomb, this is not helpful at all. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you.